Okay, this is video 2 for the absolute value equations. This is part 2 because I was running out of time. So we were at number 3. We just solved for one of them. Now we need to add 5 here. 2/3 x equals negative 12. Again, your multiplication, which yes, you're going to divide by 2/3, but when you divide by a fraction, you're multiplying by the reciprocal. You call it the same change flip, but let's call it what it is. You're multiplying by the reciprocal because you want this to equal 1. So multiply this by 3/2. I like to cross reduce. So x is going to equal negative 6 times 3 is a negative 18. Okay, so we have a 33 and a negative 16. Or negative, why did I say 16? 18. If I said that, I apologize. So negative 18. Again, definitely go back in and check. It definitely helps to make sure and secure that you have it right. Okay, so let's do one more. And we have the absolute value of x minus 1 plus 8 equals negative 4. Well, my first step is I'm going to move everything away from the absolute value part. So I'm going to subtract 8. I have the absolute value of x minus 1 equals 4 minus 8 is a negative 4. Again, do not, oops, sorry guys. Sorry. So subtracting 8, this is where it was. 4 minus 8 is a negative 4. Okay, so at this time, if you are still listening, go ahead and write the word balloon and write it right over here in this corner, maybe right above the 4. So write the word balloon right above that 4. All right, now look at this equation. You have the absolute value of x minus 1 equals negative 4. So think to yourself, what number will give us the absolute value that equals a negative? There's nothing. There's no solution. You really have to stop, you guys, and look at the equation before you automatically go into robot mode and divide it to 2 equations. Don't split this to positive 4 and negative 4 because it won't work. You can try it, prove me wrong, see if it works. But there's no number that has the absolute value that's going to give you a negative 4. Okay, so back real quick to these steps. If you like the step part, let's go back to your front page, and we can write what these steps were. So first of all, you're going to isolate the absolute value. So isolate. I'm trying not to block you guys. You guys had some good suggestions last time. I want to make sure my pencil's not blocking you. Isolate the absolute value. That means, these were already isolated, but that means like these. Divide by 3, add or subtract 8, subtract 14, divide by negative 2. You want to get the absolute value of everything like that by yourself. Sorry. Now it's time to get the dog's barking. Jeez. All right, then, once you do that, right? 2, God, you guys, I'm so sorry. 2 equations without absolute value signs. It's pretty late and he wants to go to bed. He's telling us it's bedtime, is what this dog is barking about. Okay, write 2 equations without absolute values. That's when you split it to your 2 equations. Okay? To solve the 2 equations, for the unknown. And then the best thing to do, number 4, is check your answers. Check your answer or answers, actually. There is one more that you might see. I just now thought of this, talking about answers and answers. What would happen, I'm just going to throw it down here real quick. Let's say you have the absolute value of x minus 1 plus 4 equals 4. Well, if you subtract that 4, what do you notice? Absolute value of x minus 1 equals 0. Well, what number in here gives you absolute value of 0? 0. So here, this is where you're only going to get one equation, because the only number that's 0 distance from 0 is 0. I don't know if that made any sense to you guys, but you're going to have x minus 1 equals 0, and the only number you can be able to be in there to have the absolute value of 0 is a positive 1. So x is going to equal a positive 1. So watch this. So this is where you could end up with a one solution type absolute value equation. Most of the time, you're going to have two different solutions, but there's going to be times you're going to have one. And I just thought of that. So where you have 0. Okay, so now next week, Monday is going to be a work day. So I wanted you to do this over the weekend so you have time to practice. So when you come into class on Monday, then you can get started on your assignment. So on page 32, 12 to 24 even, and I'm going to ask you, don't graph. At first I thought I was going to have you do it, but it's going to be too crazy. So don't graph when it says graph if possible. So don't graph. And then on page 33, 46, and 51. So Monday will be a work day for these. Okay, thanks guys.